welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as usual, is John Bernard.
It's me. Hello.
Hey, John. You are a New Yorker.
I am a New Yorker. Yeah.
And as such, you must love Daredevil Born Again.
Oh, we love our Daredevil here in New York, man. You know, we're seeing him all the time, and you know, if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. So it's not uncommon to be kind of pulled into battles against various. Well, I guess I don't know. I was going to start making jokes about it, but we actually do have, you know, sort of a private army running around here sometimes that picks fights with people. So
So we're here to talk about Daredevil Born Again, which is just kind of surprisingly and clearly kind of accidentally and unavoidably relevant in its storylines to our current political moment.
Yeah, sure thing. Interesting. Now, this is Disney, and, you know, despite being, of course, run by evil wokesters, I think that Disney, like every big corporation, would probably just as soon not piss off anybody and, you know, not make enemies in any administration, current or otherwise, running the country. They've kind of accidentally found themselves doing that here, though.
Well, I don't know that I don't see anybody on the right really reacting to Daredevil Born Again.
That's true. Is our cup just runneth over with rage and irritation at this point? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not making a huge splash, I don't think. And the people who are on the culture wars tip, they seem to just like glide right past the actual sort of violent political allegory when it's the main thing of the story, and they would much rather be mad about making the human Little Mermaid a darker skin tone than the cartoon.
Well, this gets to the point that this is all kind of performative bullshit in the end of the day. It does seem like that there are just some things that nobody wants to mess with. South Park can be whatever they want. They can say whatever they want about whoever they want, the president, etc. And everyone's just like, yeah, it's fine. And then whatever weird little picayune nonsense that gets the algorithm riled up at any given moment ends up being the biggest deal in the world, Black Little Mermaids and such. So this show, which is, you know, a superhero show on the Disney streaming network right next to Bluey, which is essentially an about-face attack on Donald Trump and Trumpism and life in America under a fascist power grab. Not getting much notice. Yeah.
No, not even from the resistance types. I mean, we tend to really champion Andor as the piece of pop culture, like true resistance art. And just because Andor is a much, much, much better show than Daredevil Born Again, I would say.
It is unaccountably good, yes.
But this is this is stuff that I'm more interested in talking to you about than the finer like plot points of the Daredevil Born Again.
It's what's interesting about Daredevil.
Arcs.
Yes. It's really, really fascinating that they went so far. And it feels like on accident, almost.
Yeah, I feel like, because the Kingpin becoming mayor stuff is definitely an arc from the comics. Like, I don't know the details of it, but I know that at some point, yes, Kingpin must have been mayor of New York. You know, Lex Luthor's been president of the United States for stretches in the comics. Just a place you have to go eventually. And I think because a lot of the storylines were written out before the rise of Trumpism, they get kind of grandfathered into some of these big conglomerate plans that they would not have maybe okayed this storyline if it had come up from a writer inventing it from whole cloth in the 2020s.
My sense is, and I watched the entire series in the last month or so. Like I didn't watch the first season of Daredevil Born Again when it aired, so I watched it now. And kind of just to run through all, I believe it, 17 episodes. And my impression is that they started writing this in what they imagined to be a post-Trump era.
Definitely. I think it aired right after he won in 2024, but it was definitely produced at a time when people thought there was a pretty good chance that it was going to air under a different president. I guess that which president shifted over time there.
Precisely. So, like, it feels like, hey, we can do a comment on Donald Trump now with our Kingpin character. it's safe to do so now. That's ancient history. That's over with. So now we can kind of start the sifting through it process. And there's a lot of stuff that kind of came out around this time, in the first half of 2024, you might say, that clearly had imagined that Donald Trump would not be elected, and was making art, consistent with that. The big one I think of is Mickey 17, the Bong Joon-ho film, which is like, that's what it's about, essentially. An interesting film, but also a depressing one because of that. And, seems like that sort of thing can happen, especially with a guy like Donald Trump who injects himself so directly into all things culture, or tries to at any rate.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so, and what interested me in watching Born Again and how like Disney has navigated the Trump era, because going into 2024, their biggest antagonists in politics was Ron DeSantis. And
right, of course.
Mm-hmm. Talking about a figure from a different era. He's the antagonist from the Netflix era of Daredevil. But how these big entertainment conglomerates have dealt with the second phase of the Trump era, especially, has been interesting to me and maddening to me. Also, I mean, it's not just entertainment, but corporate America generally. How willing they were to kowtow to Trump after he was elected the second time, was, and it remains a source of deep frustration. Not because I'm like idealistic about what these giant corporations like real ends are or anything, but it's just frustrating on how self-evident it seems that giving in to the bully gets you nowhere. And I mean, Disney's turn especially has been strange to me. But I understand the corporate impulse to ignore him. You want to kind of stick your head down, not be in the targets of the federal government of the United States, and make your corporate branded slop for the masses.
The last thing they want is for people to associate like a political stripe with Disneyland or whatever. That's so not what they're after.
Right. But that's why, like, the thing about Trump is that he makes himself impossible to ignore. And
that seems to be the point. Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's, I think, where his strength comes from when he's running as a challenger, and I think it's what unravels him when he's actually in office. I think we've hit a high water mark for him in this term. But but the thing about that, why him being in charge is so incompatible with what I imagine Disney's general corporate strategy and aims are. Because films do want to ignore real world politics to a huge extent.
For practical reasons alone, even just beyond just like showing support for one thing or another, that stuff is temporal. Always, that stuff is people are going to feel differently about something 2 years later than they do right away. It doesn't age well, especially when you're building like permanent structures and theme parks and stuff with these characters.
Right, you want them to, especially for Disney, and you operate in explicitly sort of fantasy settings. But even if you're Paramount, you're one of the other studios that's trying to pump out Lethal Weapon sequels, like, you don't want a ton of references to contemporary politics. One, it's just the timeline of film and TV production means that they're going to be kind of dated by the time they actually get to the audience. So you want to avoid that anyway. But because of that, it's been interesting to me that there's, for my entire life, a sort of unstated assumption in your general release films, your action movies, crime movies, whatever. They all kind of take place in an alternate version of reality as far as politics go, wherein all of like American history is the same as our real world up until about 5 years ago, up until like the president before the one when the movie takes place.
It's weird how intuitive that has become as an audience member to kind of just accept that exact thing is going on in just about every movie.
Yeah, when you're watching Con Air, like, it doesn't really matter if Bill Clinton is the president, but the presumption is that Ronald Reagan was president in that reality, and George Bush probably was, but now it's a new guy. Now it's, Dan Jones or somebody. And if the president himself is not like an important speaking character in the movie, then you just you don't address that, but it's kind of the assumption. And that is just the rules of Hollywood. And that you can see, especially when Trump comes around for a first term, like, well, that's a convenient thing to not have to deal with this, because this is a big distracting upstaging presence. If the president's not supposed to be an important part of your Lethal Weapon sequel. But now, like, it does feel like all of Hollywood cinema or whatever has become increasingly deformed from our own actual shared reality over the last decade, because they're increasingly trying to tell stories that don't reflect the existence of a MAGA movement at all. Yeah,
and there's not much value in involving them in any of this anyway, because you are immediately turning off half your audience. No matter what you do in this regard, or some variant of half, like an enormous amount of people are going to be turned off the second that is introduced, one way or the other. You don't even have to have an opinion.
Well, the goal is 4 quadrants, right? If you lose one of them out, like, before you even get started, then that's a real, a flat tire in your business model.
I mean, and something like the MCU is it's just cheddar cheese at this point anyway, with all the plot holes and loops, and like, this takes place in a world where the Thanos snap occurred, like, that's a thing.
But I think increasingly for me in 2026, the alternate reality of the Marvel universe, which was established as splitting off in 2008 with Iron Man, like, right. I think that's what we are to understand, that prior to, say, 2005. Yeah, I guess. Well, they've increasingly gone back and back, and there was a Captain America or whatever.
Right, but it wasn't like known figures. Well, I guess it was. I guess people knew who Captain America was in World War II in the MCU.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
But I think we are to believe that while Captain America was frozen on ice, Richard Nixon was president and Ronald Reagan was president.
Right.
Maybe even up to George Bush. I don't know.
Yeah, probably about George Bush, and then William Sadler was elected president with running mate Miguel Ferrer.
Yes.
As seen in Iron Man 3, and then we're off to the races with Red Hulks and such, and it's completely different timeline based on Iron Man's presence, essentially.
But when we were watching Spider-Man Brand New Day here, when it comes out and it's set in the year 2026,
right?
And the strangest thing about that alternate version of New York that Spider-Man's swinging around there, it's going to feel less alien because it is a world where Thanos snapped half the population out of existence for 5 years, and then they snapped back into existence. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a less of a leap than somehow there has been no Donald Trump in that world for the last 10 years, and there has not been a MAGA movement. And
well, I mean, we are in a place where, there's just every 6 months there's some sort of attack on New York, or some sort of metaphysical event that is occurring, some sort of void is opening up in the middle of Midtown that people have to deal with in one way or the other. And we do, I mean, you know what? We have a Wilson Fisk. If we need to do specific Donald Trump stuff now, I suppose we could use. Or you don't like that? We've got a president. What the hell is his name?
Justin Hammer?
No, Harrison Ford, President.
Thunderbolt
Ross. Yeah, he's also a bad president that they can use if they need to. But I think they really don't want to. Is my impression. I think that they would love for this to be as separate as possible.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
except they made Daredevil Born Again.
Yes, again, by accident, I think.
I guess, but they must have been.
We're
so
adapting
pissed.
Like a run from 2002, and we started the production in 2022, or when, it seemed like, again, we were moving past this generally, but now we're back in it.
It's crazy that that he has a private vigilante army. It's crazy all the little things that are happening. They're clearly trying to do something with Trump initially. They're trying to do a Donald Trump thing with the way they're writing this character and the way they're using him in what they assumed was the post-Trump era. But it does seem crazy, the amount of stuff that just keeps overlapping that they couldn't have known about. It's weird how often that happens these days. Remember, like, when Glass Onion came out right as Elon Musk was buying Twitter or whatever. It's crazy.
Oh
shit.
no, that Glass Onion, he knew what he was writing at there, and it's not a coincidence that everyone was playing Elon Musk there. But I
think
knew
they were writing Donald Trump here. They knew they were doing a Donald Trump thing with Kingpin.
Yes, sort of. And I think part of it too is that this is okay. So here's the other thing, that a way that Donald Trump has ruined movies in the last 10 years. Is that he's ruined supervillains.
Yeah.
Because even when you're trying to do a thing, you end up with a Wilson Fisk or a Thunderbolt Ross. Those are smarter, more competent people than Donald Trump is. And
they're more emotionally empathetic too. Like you are allowed more sympathy for them. Yeah, and you are able to admire aspects of them in a way. I guess that's a little. No, I think they want you to like, sympathize with Wilson Fisk quite a bit, actually, and even while acknowledging and seeing that, like, he is allowing his sort of narcissism and ego to lead him into destroying the city, sort of out of a fit of pique, and it's kind of crazy that that's happening. But we are actually able to, like, empathize with him a little in this, which we're not able to do with Donald Trump because he would never allow such a thing. D'Onofrio's performance is based on, like, vulnerability too, which is that's a weird thing that makes him not Trump-like at all. Like that he welcomes us in to see the weakness in Kingpin, like, all the time, and that's kind of why it works.
He's in touch with his vulnerabilities as a character. He respects things like competence.
That's neat to see. I wish Kingpin was the president right now. I do.
Yeah, it would be a huge step up. He sort of understands the value of actual loyalty as opposed to just ass kissing, and an underling willing to give him bad news is valuable and not something to be purged at the first opportunity.
He kind of seems to want the best for his people and will try to help them. Frequently. He's upset when he has to burn one of them. He does not come to that decision lightly.
If they were to succeed at something, he wouldn't cut them down just for the sake of it. Like, great, this helps my overall movement.
Yeah.
But these are
loves his wife. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Genuinely loves his wife. But this is the problem that Donald Trump seems to offer so many angles from which to craft a villain performance in reflection of that. But it's not so satisfying to have your superheroes end up beating on somebody who ultimately has like a third grade vocabulary. And
it gets into a point where it's not believable, right? When he becomes like a Captain Planet villain. If we just present like if you presented a character who talks the way Donald Trump speaks in a show like this, online or not, just in press conferences, it would be. I guess it would be pretty loathsome. It'd be obvious what they were doing, I guess, at this point. So it would have to be that. But yeah, it would not be. It would not be dramatically believable. It would seem absurd.
That's the problem. We live in this terrible reality where what has actually happened is not dramatically believable. It's not really dramatically compelling. That's the problem. If Kingpin was as clumsy and oafish as Donald Trump, we would have lost all respect for Daredevil by the time he got to be mayor. Like, we're not stopping him prior to that.
Yeah. So there's that. That's going on in this show. Another thing that I really picked up on, especially in the second season, which, by the way, the much better season, right? I like things happening frequently throughout the show. That was good. More action. Anyway, that's a sidebar.
I guess maybe we should give our whole, our general reviews of it. Like,
Okay.
I don't know that I thought one season was way better than the other, and I don't think either was great.
It's kind of good though. Like I was consistently impressed with like aspects of it. There's individual scenes are good. I think the casting of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio continues to be sort of like low key some of the best superhero casting of this whole era. I think they're both amazing and really elevate this thing, I would say.
I think Wilson Bethel, is that his name for Bullseye, is also
I believe so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent casting, and I like the depiction of him the way they've done that in here.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's few villains with a cooler power to display on screen than Bullseye. It's just a you're going to succeed with that superpower. It's just too cool visually. You know, every scene he's in is a John Wick thing.
True, but I don't know, like compared to Colin Farrell's performance in the Affleck movie, I think.
Well, no one in that compares favorably to this. No one.
No, absolutely. I do love Michael Clark Duncan's Kingpin, actually, but
yeah, I do.
But D'Onofrio clearly is like, you know, platonic ideal of casting there. I mean, so good that it may have like ultimately kind of broken Daredevil as an ongoing series because they cannot move out of the Kingpin shadow.
Yeah, they can't deal with it.
Like,
And this show has done a very good job of basically positioning them as two like concurrent character arcs going on. Like they are both dealing with the same sort of inner darkness, you know, and how it manifests in themselves. And you know that's just it's pretty good writing, I think. Honestly, like I agree with you. This is not great. It's never great. I'm a little. I don't quite know why it isn't, but it's not plainly. But it somehow feels a little less than the sum of its parts, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why.
Well, it's got a couple of really great parts, like you said. Like the casting of D'Onofrio and Cox is so strong, and then the tone, I think, that the original Netflix series went with, and that Born Again, you know, it's softening up a little around the edges.
It's a little on loan, but it's still there.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's really compelling. And also very hard to maintain over a stretch of 13-hour hour seasons.
Right. Well,
like this, and before we even try and connect it to the larger MCU, which is a whole different sort of day glow tone, color palette to it and all. It's just trying to take this vigilante in pajamas battling for the soul of the city with an oversized sort of undefined super strength gangster person. Like,
well, yeah.
that is hard to do in a realistic, like R-rated tone. And the longer you stay in that, the more ridiculous the seams become.
I mean, at this point, I'm fine with that, though. Like, I'm all right with the you know, Cox and D'Onofrio are bringing it. There is gravity to what they're doing. Like, anytime you put the two of them in a scene together, which happens rare enough that it's still kind of cool and special, you know. I do think that this character in particular is really well constructed to take on the things that they are giving him. You know, the religious aspect of Daredevil has always been very interesting to me. It's sort of unique in comic books and superhero media, so I love that they've gone all in on that. I really like the well, I mean, I don't know if I like this. This is, but it's something that is unmistakable and interesting going on in the show is as the question of you know, the do you kill question, I guess. Does a superhero have a responsibility at some point to start killing people? And I think Daredevil's really well suited to this, maybe better than Batman even. This is a great thing to explore with this character.
It is, but I just think when you get to 35, 40 hours of exploring that same central question, it's hard not for it to feel like you're just going in circles.
Well, I mean, it has become, I think, in the world of the show, sort of a massive frustration for everyone around him, including the audience, that he is so dogged and bullish on this point in a way that seems indefensible at this point, you know, with the amount of stuff that has happened. Like this, another interesting thing that I'm sure that they're not thrilled about corresponding with real world activities is, there are attempts on Kingpin's life over the course of the series multiple times. And, one case, Daredevil even saves him, like jumps in front of a bullet. And at some point you're just like, man, this really solves so many fucking problems if you just don't save him at this point, man. Right. I mean, it's that Joker monologue, like at how many of my past, how many of the people that I killed are you responsible for not killing me 15 years ago or whatever, like the killing joke. And that is, I think, interesting stuff to take on, especially if we're doing a Donald Trump thing with context, and in a world of Luigi Mangione. So we have like a lot of meat to deal with here, a lot of mill, or a lot of grist from the mill, and 8 episodes instead of 12, like on Netflix. I think that's good too.
But don't we get by the second season of Born Again? Don't we have sort of Bullseye going after Kingpin or Kingpin's wife, and Daredevil trying to get in the way of him killing his other enemies? Isn't that the third time we've done that on this show? Like, I'm pretty sure that's how the third season of the Netflix show resolved too, and then it's how the first season of this one ends, and then midway through this second season, he does finally. They finally kill off Kingpin's wife. Seems like it was a long time coming, like a thing that just had to happen eventually.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think the plotting might actually be the key here as to why the show is just not great. Is that ultimately they do seem to be a little stuck in a rut with the week to week plot and what is going on individually. They are having seemingly some trouble constructing a massive arc for their season, despite all the ideas they've got and the characters bouncing off each other, all of which can work well individually or in a single scene. But yeah, ultimately, I think maybe that is part of what's holding it back.
And it's why the one thing that this doesn't have is a really sprawling ensemble, compelling supporting characters. Like,
it's true.
There are good performances, but there is just, they've never cracked, I don't think, a B plot where whatever Karen or Foggy was doing was as interesting as what was going on with even if Daredevil was having kind of like a lower key week. That they just don't have that sprawl. And especially when you're dealing with comic book characters, you're trying to do it in this, closer to R-rated tone with a sense of danger and unpredictability that would bring, but you can't kill off the main people, the main guy. So he's never actually in danger, and the way a lot of shows deal with that, shows that are trying to and capable of maintaining big stretches of intensity based around life and death stakes. Your Games of Thrones, your Walking's Dead, whatever. It's a big ensemble cast, so there are people you can knock off and take the audience by surprise. When our focus is on just a couple of people, you can never take us by surprise by putting Karen in danger.
No. And
you also have to do it 4 or 5 times in a 13-episode season, just because there's nowhere else to turn the camera at a certain point. So I think that it loses something there by repetition too, having to stay tightly focused and trying to be more violent and more adult.
Well, they have tried. They have introduced a number of characters, and like I said, sometimes the performances work. No one is really operating on the Cox D'Onofrio level, I would say, but there's just sort of an alchemical perfection to those casting choices. So that's a tall order. I don't expect the therapist whose name I don't even recall at this point to click in that way.
Margarita La Viva is the actor name. I don't remember what the character name is. I did like her heel turn in the second season was kind of a pleasant surprise to me.
I liked that very much, actually. Yeah. Yes, that was cool. But there is also they're bringing people in like the White Tiger and then his extended family after that character is gone, just to kind of have somebody in the story that's not Matt Murdock or Wilson Fisk. To kind of carry the action, and then it's some of the less successful stuff, no question.
And that is sort of that. They kind of had their hand forced there because the actor died suddenly at
Right.
a kind of younger age. So it might have been better for the season structurally if the White Tiger had hung around a few more episodes, and his getting knocked off was something that sort of catalyzed the climax of the season instead of just a kind of quick shocker. But they had, I mean, you don't want to throw out like recast or whatever because that guy gave a good performance while he was around. And ultimately, if there's one thing that the sort of the post Endgame era has been defined by in the Disney Plus setting, it's too many sort of well, what if we do a teenage girl version of the established superhero? And I didn't mind that they did a young female version of White Tiger.
Right. Yeah, it's fine.
Felt kind of organic. And I don't know. But there's other...
Well, they also
there are other things that just didn't work.
The what's his name? The swordsman, is that his vigilante name?
Yes.
Bringing that guy in from Hawkeye, technically, Tony Dalton. That was fun. I like when they utilize their stable that they've built over, many, many different things. I wouldn't even mind seeing. Well, I guess Kamala Khan's dad is in there at some point, right?
Yes.
That happened. I forgot about.
Well, Tony Dalton is a guy who can go up against D'Onofrio in a scene and hold his own.
Right. Yeah.
Even like it's obviously the swordsman's not as big a deal as the Kingpin in this universe, so we kind of know that he's not going to be that central to the resolution. But yeah, I mean, he's fun to watch, so no complaints there. My complaints, I didn't the first season of Born Again. I didn't like how they discarded the old cast in the opening of the first episode, and then just kind of jump forward a year to a new setup that's like functionally the same.
Myself. Yeah.
Well, I don't really like Nikki James as Kirsten.
No.
Her rigid Michael Jackson face is very off-putting to me.
Jeez.
And also, it's like, why do we need you? You're just another. We had lawyers for him to interact with already. But yeah.
I like Karen Page. I'm like Foggy.
Yeah.
The actors weren't the problem with either of those, I would say. And I get they're doing a thing with Foggy. Mostly I just felt bad for the actor in this case. But I do remember hearing that the first season of Daredevil Born Again was like 18 episodes originally, and they reshot an enormous amount of it, and it was a mess. I'm kind of surprised that it came across a little bit, that it comes across and it's clean and not painful to watch. I do feel like the second season's a lot cleaner just in general. And they have less kind of threads that are just sort of up in the air and they are ambivalent about ever landing or dealing with. All coming in and to a fault even maybe this season, like the Gandolfini stuff, for example, I thought was kind of frustratingly just written out. Well, eventually,
I think Gandolfini is great in that performance.
I do too.
And I like that character, like that arc for Daniel, the his MAGA protege.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the most like real feeling, unpredictable aspects of the whole series to me. And
I agree. And then I think they kind of just had to end it because he wasn't going to be mayor anymore and didn't know what to do with it. And so I was a little disappointed that it became Sopranos fan service in the end.
It was really interesting to me, like the way that was one of the most interesting interactions with the real world MAGA phenomenon to me.
Yes,
and
I agree.
That is a character that I'm pretty sure is not from the comics. And because of that, it was like this weird thing of, he's sort of intoxicated by his proximity to the power of this fascist movement, and in turns sort of horrified by when he has to see the results of it up close, and then terrified of running afoul of it himself. And so, but he'll go from like sort of waffle from scene to scene, whether he's riding high on the fumes or he's running scared from it himself. And that's all very interesting to me and feels maybe kind of true to our current fascist movement if you're a young man.
Yeah.
But
no,
it's also really bogged down by having to play off the BB character.
Yeah, this is a miss on the casting, I'm afraid. Would be.
Yeah.
But I mean that character, I think, as written, is okay. Like but yeah, that she does kind of run a surprisingly large quadrant of that narrative, and those scenes don't get it done. I don't like her little V for Vendetta videos. I feel like there was more room for those to be fun.
By modern day sort of TikTok trolling standards,
yeah,
they're not very inspired.
No,
You're just saying that oh, here's the bad stuff he did. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that character is well written. There's like the concept of the character makes sense.
You're right.
In what having somebody be that. I mean, that person in traditional Daredevil lore is Ben Urich, the uncle of that character, who was killed off seasons ago. So they need a new version of that. Fine, but she's so young that she feels kind of lightweight for the plot importance. But also, I think the big problem is that the show and therefore the performance can't really decide how genuine her feelings for Gandolfini might be. And
okay, yes, absolutely.
Because how could they be sincere?
How? Like, how could they?
Like but it's also sometimes it feels like maybe she does genuinely like care about him. Even if she's not kind of stringing him on romantically, but even his romantic, like the level of romantic infatuation he has is not totally clear either. But it's like there's something there. But there's nowhere on the spectrum of like how sincere she could be that would make the way she behaves toward him either sympathetic or sensible. Like he's too much of a schmuck and too in over his head for if she's purely like cold-blooded manipulating him to that not make her look bad. But particularly because like
I'd almost rather that. I'd almost rather.
Much better.
Yeah.
He's enough of a slime ball and too complicit in like the really heinous shit that actual romantic interest would be an even worse look.
Well, that's not real. Like that doesn't. I mean, even he seems like not like. I guess he's imagining it. It's well, but yeah, like I wish that this whole plot line had gone farther, I guess is my point. Because there's juice here. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I think Gandolfini is fun to cast in this role. It's exciting to see it. And then, they kind of have to speed run through it a little, I feel like. Because, frankly, they have to speed run through the Wilson Fisk mayor ship. The 8 episodes, essentially. Like he's
it does seem like it falls apart kind of quickly.
Yeah, and this could have been the entire series. Could have been during the Wilson Fisk mayor's run, and I don't know where they go now. I have no idea because they seem to have written themselves out of it very fast, which surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that was just Disney kind of running scared from we don't want to be holding this hot potato for any longer than we have to?
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, I could have done at least one more season of Wilson Fisk's candidacy or entire mayor performance just falling apart around his ears, with more stuff than the more dogs coming home to roost, more bad press, him losing his temper. All that shit's really fun, the bad guy gets everything he's asked for and he can't manage it. That would have been, if you want to do more Trump stuff, frankly, would have been fertile ground to kind of go there. I guess they don't want to. It's sort of got to be the case here.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Well, but so it's kind of circling back.
I mean, I guess they want.
My contention is why the hell not? Because
you at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound. Like fuck it, man, do it. You're doing the thing already.
I also have kind of a theory, though. Like, okay, if you're a traditional media giant like Disney, like your core business model is very much it's drawn up around a very 20th century conception of the monoculture. Right, where you're trying to hit all those 4 quadrants, and therefore you want to be apolitical because you don't want to activate polarization. I understand that, but that dream of 4 quadrant efficiency, like that makes you as Disney, you're the media of unity, of social unity, like to a dystopian level. About steamrolling over cultural differences or whatever.
Yeah.
But that you want your audience to be homogenous in a way. And by contrast to me, like MAGA is a social media movement as opposed to a traditional media movement. And social media is a media of division. Like it's
Well, certainly what they're doing. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
And yeah, I
it
guess social
fractures
media in
generally.
Yes.
And so, like, even if you can avoid, I mean, getting, having Trump coming after you specifically, keeping him at the center of culture undermines like the sort of the grounds you need to sow your more general products. Or
Well, it's not good for the unifier. Like he's bad business for people that are looking for four quadrants. I mean, because that's not what he's looking for. He is not trying to unite anybody. He is. It's all about divide, and that works for him. And what he specifically is running is beneficial. It seems very bad for America in general. Certainly from a corporate.
Again, I'm trying to look at just if I'm a Disney shareholder, what I'm thinking here, but. I mean, you're right. The MAGA movement, very much in particular, is fueled entirely by grievance. And that's a lot of built around bullshit culture issues. But if your business is producing bullshit pop culture, they're never going to be able to let up on that gas, even if you've given that, like, appeased them and whatever they asked for this week.
Well, yeah,
they are ultimately going to need more grist for the mill of keeping everybody riled up, and
that is the foundation. Like they put in handicapped ramps in Disney World now. Can you believe it? That's the new cultural thing they're pissed about this week or whatever. Yeah, and you can't get on top of that forever if you're running a company like Disney. You can't be.
Yeah, if your business plan is for Frozen 3 to make $2 billion, ticket sales
has to.
You need to pull across every possible economic, racial, political demographic at the same time.
They better not be gay in it. Better not. Yeah,
But if they're not gay, then that's going to piss somebody off too.
It's got to be a little implied. Yeah, like you can close your eyes and pretend queer friendly.
And you can edit that shot out of for the Chinese marketplace.
Yeah, there you go. This is fucking nuts. All that stuff.
But I guess what it is, even understanding how it could be, Disney could see it in their interest to, say, forfeit the battle on free speech for the sake of just greater corporate consolidation is ultimately
certainly
what we need from this.
I would expect nothing less of them. Yes, right,
and all that. But I don't know. I still think like a lot of that consolidation is like built around a model of, who are we competing with? Are we competing with Warner Brothers? Are we competing with Paramount or whatever? But really, I think if you're Disney in the 2020s, your biggest competitor is YouTube and social media, and propping up the administration that runs on social media and its bad vibes. Even if your bribes are successful, I think you're still you're creating a culture that is going to undermine your own plan for world domination. So I don't think it's worth it.
Or he's out of office and they move on to a normal Democrat again, is the gamble, I think, is what they're playing at and hoping it works out.
I think you've made normal a much harder thing to get back to as time goes on.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know. I mean, we seem to be in a transitional point anyway. Superheroes perhaps on the decline. Star Wars perhaps on the decline. It's very interesting to see where if they're going to have like a next big movement there that's going to sort of change culture in the way those things have. And I suspect that it won't come from Disney. If they do, they'll be playing catch up, while they run the old games, would be my guess. Simply because the amount of money required to, turn something that large, is just prohibitive. And so we're going to
it's also something that I think
safe hands. Sorry.
Yep. You have to also get a bit lucky to capture lightning in a bottle. That
you would think that these people with the billions of dollars would have, professionals whose entire jobs are about trying to read the tea leaves of where culture's going.
Oh, yeah, but nobody really knows anything.
I guess not, yeah.
I mean, that applies in politics as much as in entertainment, I would say. Has been one of the lessons of the last 10 years. Is that all the very smart people whose jobs are to crunch the data have about as much idea as anybody else what's actually going to happen 6 months from now. But I think if you have the billions of dollars, what you have is the ability to just, once the lightning strikes, to buy the bottle or to get it. You have the bottle ready for it
Yeah, you got like a field of bottles. Yeah, just ready to go. Right.
And maybe that, I don't know what it'll be if it's not superheroes. I mean,
video games appears to be the easy bet right now.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mario movies made a ton of money.
They have. Mm-hmm. They're trying to make Mortal Kombat into a very big thing this weekend. I'm not sure how that's doing, but that's very much trying to be like, here's the IP, come watch it. This is a movie now. It brand extension. It's happening.
I suppose that's true, but video games are not a genre to themselves.
I think they can be sold in the same way a superhero can be sold, though. Maybe even easier because, there's prefabricated looks and, like if, how upset people get if it doesn't match.
There are for superheroes, too.
Yeah, that's true. But there's also less pretense to creating art or telling stories. You're not going to get people passionate about making a Sonic the Hedgehog film. You're going to get people who are happy to do whatever that needs to be to get that across, which I guess is always who they hire for these things anyway. But there's, these things I think are going to look even more flattened out and even less created by people than the superhero movies looked or did. We're going to get like the Legend of Zelda movie it will have all the things you remember from the Legend of Zelda, and you'll enjoy watching it and forget completely about it within a month. And it's going to be like that for all of them, is my guess. I don't know. That we're getting a little afield from Daredevil Born Again here, but
true.
A trend I see possibly happening. Maybe just a short-term one while we burn through the biggest ones. But, we got a new Resident Evil movie coming out this year. We're going to have all these things.
That could be interesting.
But people are mad about it because it doesn't look enough like the original show or the game or whatever. So that's going to be the question.
That is passion. Like you said, that word. That people, you need the audience at least to be passionate about it if you want to build the type of, long-term, whatever, cinematic universe, theme park stuff that people want to stick with for entry after entry.
Well, that's the appeal. That's why it's going to happen. Yeah. I just don't know that you're going to build an empire on Sonic the Hedgehog. No,
I mean Sega tried, I suppose.
They pushed that as far as they could. Yes, I don't know. I think that a bit of a mini empire, a fiefdom at least, was built on Sonic the Hedgehog. But we're going to see all of those, man. We're going to get how many more of these? Can we get a Mega Man movie? Can we get a Kirby movie? All this shit's going to happen. Is my guess is where we're going now that superhero films are not what they were.
Interesting.
And there will be some weird art movie versions of it. There will be the occasional like artiste comes in and
the Resident Evil thing, or what's the Elden
Alex
Ring?
Garland, Elden Ring. Yeah. Yes, those still have room to exist. I think they'll just be fewer and farther between.
Sure, I just think like when I look at when we had Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter created the fantasy as the big boom, and then that gave way into superheroes or whatever. Those are genres unto themselves, and video game is a category, but not a genre, because Elden Ring and Sonic the Hedgehog are even more different, I think, totally in content-wise than The Dark Knight and The Incredibles. That.
Yes. I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff is going to be a lot easier to sort of bunch together in PG-13 big-budget action adventure comedy. I think a lot of that will slot in quite nicely there. You'll get the outliers, the Elden Rings and such, but mostly I think we're going to be doing stuff for the whole fam. Yeah.
As a large, Disney shareholder, you're making me hot now. Flatten it out into a one very lucrative PG-13 space is exactly what I want to hear in that regard.
Well, I think that is their goal ultimately, right? That's why this fits.
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Daredevil Born Again. Let's see. There's some good action scenes. I don't know.
No, but okay, this is not what the new Marvel universe is going to be going forward, right? Like,
well, I think Daredevil is going to be in the next Spider-Man film. Certainly looks like it. The Punisher sure is. So, we're halfway in there already in the trailers. You know, he's
But you
got
got
some
to think
scenes in
that
jail in the trailers.
they're going to be dragging the Punisher and Daredevil character more into the Tom Holland tonal space than they will be dragging Holland into the Daredevil Born Again tonal space, right?
I mean, that is the question. I think it's a cool way to go, though. Like, to make Spider-Man a little more street level is a good directive to take at this point. How that will work remains to be seen. But, I think it is an opportunity to do something interesting because Charlie Cox and John Bernthal are very good in those roles. And, as is Tom Holland. So, and they have certainly interacted in the comics before. They're New Yorkers, they're street level, they're dealing with some of the same locations. And so that alone is kind of fun. That's kind of appealing to me. And I hope that is what's happening.
Do you think that they can't really use D'Onofrio for Spider-Man at this point, can they?
They've certainly positioned him to be away. So I would assume he's not in there. He's on a beach somewhere, taking a breather. He will probably be back in the next season of Daredevil in some context. I don't envy them having to figure out how, but I don't think you've got a show without him, or so it would seem to me. He's going to fight the Hand again? Whatever.
Well, I mean, you got to cycle somebody else in eventually, I think. But you can't stay away from D'Onofrio very long, unless D'Onofrio himself is done with it, I guess.
He's not given that indication. I think he likes getting paid. So, yeah.
But the Kingpin in the comics has been a Spider-Man villain, can function that way. But I don't know. Has he just been run through the paces and been defeated too many times by your Echoes and your, Haley Steinfeld Hawkeyes to be a credible main villain in a Spider-Man movie?
I think that might simply be that there's not much juice in seeing him show up at this point, to fight somebody who has been, fighting aliens and, gods and stuff like that. He would not be well, I mean, you could certainly write it in such a way that it was, but it's not an exciting sell necessarily.
Yeah, I think we've done too many goes around the merry-go-round with him already on Netflix and whatnot for that to work as a big screen primary villain. He'd have to be a cameo. And
I think he's also been written in such a way that benefits being in a TV show. You would have to kind of flatten him out to serve the purposes of a villain in what is already going to be a quite stuffed film, I'm sure. And that's fine. It doesn't. I mean, they haven't even said who the villain is. I imagine it's not a huge part of this new movie specifically. So.
Weirdly enough, they have positioned Bullseye in a way that you think could put him in Secret Wars or something. He could be part of a team of baddies and, visually interesting power on screen still.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. I'd be down for that. I bring these characters in. I mean, that is the promise of doing Battle World or whatever the hell this thing is, that you can bring everyone in, just do it. Have Daredevil fight Blade at one point. I think we'd all enjoy that, right? Whatever, just fucking go for it if you're doing it. I think they are. I think they will. So, yeah.
Here's something positive I can say about Born Again. I thought Matthew Lillard was fucking delightful in this.
He usually is. He's great.
I don't know anything against him, but when Tarantino included him in his list of actors he was sliding off, I was like, oh yeah, I get it. He's not a great thespian or anything. He's, he was the guy for Scream in 1996, but I don't need to see him, play Lear on stage or whatever.
I would go see him play Lear. I would definitely check that out. But
as soon as I say that, right. That would be interesting.
No, he's a very interesting actor. I've always enjoyed Matthew Lillard. I think basically this character is nothing as written. So all his weird tics and mannerisms is what's so interesting about him. It's all stuff that Lillard is bringing to the role. I wanted more of him. An explanation for what his whole deal would have been great. In fact,
I wanted a little more there. I don't know that I wanted an explanation. I liked his just sort of shadowiness, but also there was something, again, unique about it. We're like, okay, this is not a comic book character I'm familiar with where he's clearly doing a thing. It's like, oh, he's kind of putting a weird kind of over it Gen X vibe on this shadowy government operative archetype that I'm familiar with, in a way that was more intriguing and more unpredictable than when Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up to do this, basically the same stuff a couple of times.
I have to agree, actually. I would say that Lillard is performing the much more interesting villainous, shadowy government operative within the context of these. That's interesting. And no reason why that would be, really. I'm not going to say that, like, his persona is better or more interesting than Julia Louis-Dreyfus's. Like,
no, in a lot of ways, like, her sitcom persona is more suited to the big screen Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is kind of a big screen sitcom to me. And I mean that in a generally positive way. His take on it, I guess, is a little darker, which fits the Netflix vibe a little better. But it's also just, I don't know. Same. This is not a character I've seen in 10 superhero shows before.
Right. That's a good point.
That's a wonderful thing to think in 2026.
I think a lot of his power in this show comes from he is a person who just does not show respect to Kingpin. He does not speak with any sort of gravity or caution when talking to Kingpin, and that is fun because everyone else does. Like, he has just such an enormous center of gravity and enormous center of weight on screen. You know, whenever he's there, he's kind of like the most important figure on screen, and Lillard does not treat him like that and makes him kind of stand out. That's fun. Yeah,
even the people in a lot of the scenes, you know, whether it's like the commissioner guy who got offed in the first season or whoever, the people who are defying Kingpin still sort of, you know, they vow to he's in the mayor's seat and more generally the sort of lead of the show seat. And every kind of bows to the idea of you are the most important person in this world or whatever, even though I'm not going along with you until you find a way to threaten me. But Lillard just kind of, it's not just like, I'm going to dominate you or I'm not going to go along with you. It's like, I'm just not that into your thing, man. Like, it's cute or whatever. It's working for you. Great. But I got other stuff on my mind.
Yeah, that's fun. So as a lawyer, how'd they do the lawyer stuff this year? It seemed a little outlandish to me, I gotta say.
In a word, flawless. Did you enjoy? We were watching The Wire and seeing State's Attorney Perlman. Yeah, show up as one of the the bank of judges.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was impressed. I was like, oh, of course. I'm sure she's just been working on TV for the last 20 years. And she has. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably played a few more lawyers, if I had to guess.
I would imagine. Yeah.
I'm still not entirely clear what revealing himself to be Daredevil, what that proved Kingpin to be guilty of in the eyes of that tribunal.
I mean, this whole thing, I mean, it's like, well, if I, Daredevil, am here, then surely that means that that there was a witness, and if there was a witness, well, that means that that Wilson Fisk is actually acting not on behalf of the law, but rather on behalf of his own personal animosity, and therefore this entire tribunal must be dissolved immediately. And Deirdre Lovejoy's like, yeah, checks out. You're right. Let's just end this right now.
I mean, talk about more ways that Trump has ruined cinema. But yeah, the idea that courts would be judges would be constrained such to feel like they would need to recuse themselves or to rule based on the letter of the law just because of some fancy rhetorical checkmate feels fanciful.
By Daredevil, yes.
Yeah. Or the idea that conflicts of interest by a head of state are going to be somehow enforceable against them in a legal sense is, again, feels pretty fanciful 10 years into this era.
It does make it especially hard with shit like this, man. You know, forget just doing a Trump figure, you know, but like just the inner workings of politics. If you're doing this sort of cult of personality thing, I mean, you know, we're seeing this happen live. Our bullshit raters are going to be pretty well tuned for how this would play out, and it would not play out the way it does in the last episode of Daredevil Born Again here.
Yeah. You want it, like, for dramatic purposes only. You want it to be a battle of wits between smart people, and we see in real time that it is not that.
Yeah. I mean, it's who can produce the fastest. I don't even know what's going on anymore. It's so not worth following on a micro level. You know, like the individual twists and turns of how we're collapsing as a nation. It's not benefiting me to keep up to date on it anymore, I'm afraid. I'd rather get my news from Daredevil Born Again, please.
Well, you won't now, because they're not going to do another season that has anything to do with this stuff. They're going to run.
Yeah, back to ninjas, I suppose, right?
I think the next season is going to be very ninja based.
Yeah, fair bet. All right.
Okay. I don't know.
A shame.
Do you think that they really patted themselves on the back when they came up with the reverse January 6th climax? Of like,
I think they were quite pleased. Yeah.
The administration might be mad at us, except now we're like, no, the people storming the Capitol are the good guys. And but Kingpin's so clearly the Trump analog, and the task force is clearly ICE, so the liberals will have to be pleased with what we're doing too. And I think they feel like they really threaded that needle well, and I think they do have seem to avoid anybody getting that mad about it, but I think it's because people just don't have the energy for it anymore.
No, it's got to be, right? Like, we're just at this point, several years in, it's just like, how could we possibly be pissed off about another culture war thing? I guess people will always find a way, but I can't imagine it anymore.
I did kind of love Kingpin just going full King Kong and wrecking.
That's awesome.
Like, absolutely tearing them limb from limb. It made it completely absurd when he comes out and like, yeah, well, I guess I'll take that deal now and go off to my beach.
He's covered in their blood. Yes.
Yes.
He just walks out drenched in blood.
And Daredevil's like, okay, your offer's still on the table. Like, Daredevil lost a bit of credibility for me there.
No, well, this is my point. Like, honestly, when it comes to like the, maybe assassination's the answer parts of the show that they're doing here. I mean, honestly, I'm afraid the end of this season probably, like, dramatically should have been a crowd of left-wing January 6ers tears Wilson Fisk apart limb from limb. Probably should have been the end of this season. Which is, it's a better ending for Daredevil too, honestly. Like, all the things he's been stood for kind of like fall apart at the end there, despite his best efforts, despite, him thinking he can control this thing,
It is kind of closer to the Killing Joke, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I assume they want to bring back Kingpin is another factor.
Yes, well, you have to leave the door open to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I guess we'll leave the door open to doing more Marvel stuff down the line at some point.
Sure.
We've kind of fallen off the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, we do it occasionally. We talked about the Fantastic Four, didn't we? We did. I think we did. Yeah. I don't know.
But we skipped Echo. We skipped Daredevil Born Again season 1.
Sure.
We skipped a lot of Born Again season 2, really, because we're just kind of trying to unpack what you do with Trump in the fanciful genre media.
I mean, The Boys is happening right now as well. The Boys is wrapping up its final season, and it is explicitly doing Trump stuff and explicitly having the same basic issues as Daredevil. We didn't watch that one, so we don't have much perspective on it, per se. But it does sound like they're leaning into it a little harder. And even still, they're coming up with shit. Like, apparently Homelander just debuted a giant golden statue of himself, and it's just like, haha, that's funny.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing, is that it's not so much that your Disney people or your Amazon or whoever is really trying to, like, zero in and predict Trump's movements or anything. It's just he keeps doing cartoon villain shit. He beats them down wherever they happen to be, and That's nobody else's fault, really. I don't think. But no, I think that having not watched The Boys from a distance, it looks like it is tonally set up to be grotesque and ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like
to
a
larger
RoboCop
extent.
world, kind of. You know,
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
So it's better suited for this moment than MCU was.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, pretty much. It is built up from the ground to meet the moment, essentially. But yeah, I mean, that could be a double-edged sword as well. There's things that are annoying about The Boys. I'm like halfway through it, and I'll get to it on my own time. Is sort of how I am, or maybe I won't. But if people hate it, we'll see. But yeah, just thought I should mention that, considering this ended up being as much about Trump as it did Daredevil here. That is going on too, and it will be going on in some context for at least the next 5 years, I suspect.
Yeah, we're not through.
No.
I think we might be getting to the end of the sort of people in the entertainment conglomerates running scared from him because the administration is losing power and popularity by the day in that regard. They still might kill us all.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel is going to be under as constant threat going forward. I mean, he's quitting, but
yeah, we'll see.
We might not be in the throes of the full fascist takeover anymore, but just dealing with the fallout of it, it'll be interesting to see if anybody ever cracks the code of how do we incorporate the weird Trump aberration into the, general loosely sketched political backdrop of your Hollywood action movies.
I mean, I'm sure they're just hoping things go back to normal. Like, I don't know. We get some boring ass, old guy in a suit and, comes in and he's like, and we just put President Mitchell in movies, or President Rogers has said, just go back to our generic kind of expected movie president.
I mean, do you think that's possible, though? So, I mean, let's say, Bob Smith is elected in 2028 and he's a real normie and yada, yada.
Yeah.
But can Hollywood movies still just go back to the, 80s through 2010s, levels of assumptions about what it means to be a cop in a movie or a U.S. soldier in a movie? It's like, this movie's not about interrogating what it means to be those things. It's just can we use that as shorthand for these guys are generally, mean well and are following orders that might be coming from a specific corrupt villain, but, or whatever, where as opposed to now, I remember trying to watch the Taylor Sheridan show, Special Ops Lioness.
Okay.
And finding it just this weird discordant thing of it takes place in that reality where we don't know who the president is. They're doing special ops things in the Middle East. They're supposed to be a little sketchy, but we're also supposed to understand they're playing hardball in a dirty game that's meant that the soldiers sincerely believe they're keeping America safe. And I'm watching 3 or 4 episodes of that and being like, but what, I can't not think about if these people are ordered to what do they think about January 6th? Or if they're ordered to, arrest a Democratic senator, are they going to do it? And you can't ignore Trump. He makes everybody take sides on everything all the time and about very important things and very unimportant things. But
Cracker Barrels, yes, indeed.
I just don't know how. I don't know how we ever get back to a just baseline of action movie things where the Marines and Transformers movies are unsullied by this stuff.
Well, I mean, my guess is, and I hope this is right, is that it's going to be easier than you ever believe. That we're going to be able to just go right back to the way we want to present these characters. And the only reason I think that is because we've done it before. Watergate, Nixon, Vietnam. People hated the cops back then. People hated the president back then. It was cataclysmic, in a way, to the psyche of a lot of people at that time. And we just got right back out of it into the 1980s, right after. And we're way better at propagandizing now because we have the internet. So I think we're going to just normalize this as quickly, and even if it is different, it will have the similar tone and texture of the things from before, and we'll still have like ACAB movies during this time, but then we'll also have action.
Yeah, but those movies will be deliberate about what they're doing. Yeah,
sure.
And,
yeah.
Well, I guess the theorizing around it would be Watergate and Nixon were a different thing in that Nixon was purged by his own party and branded the villain of that era in a way that was
may still happen,
widely accepted enough that Hollywood movies could take that as a presumption without alienating one of the quadrants necessarily.
Right.
And then with Trump the first time around, the entire world kind of gave us a pass, more or less, on if this is a one-off weird Black Swan event. Okay, it's harder to do that the second time around. But you're right. We're culturally going to give it a hell of a try.
I mean, the first thing we'll probably see is people, like looking back on the Trump era kind of presentations, what they thought Daredevil Born Again season 1 was, so we'll see some of those first off, and hopefully they'll be right this time. But yeah, I don't know. I think 4 years from now. No, I don't even feel comfortable making a guess at this point, man. I think, we're in uncharted territory in a big way, and I don't even know if I hope things go back to normal. How about that? I'm not sure that
who knows. I mean, would I smash the button if you put it in front of me now? Sure, but it's not. That's not going to be available anytime soon. We are in for as the ancient Chinese guy said, we're interesting times.
Yeah,
for a few more years at least.
And we'll see how the superhero movies and television shows reflect that and hone our opinions on them.
That's one way we'll process it.
What's Doomsday going to have to say about January 6th, though? I wonder.
Doctor Doom. How do you do Doctor Doom these days? How do you do the super genius villain?
He's kind of very Trumpy in a lot of ways.
I think he's got to be more of a Putin.
I mean, he's definitely given to braggadocious kind of self-promotion.
That's true, I guess. But he put in the work. He learned the dark sorcery.
Yeah, he does seem to have a little more to back that up in most cases. He's just stating a fact that Doom is the greatest of all. Yeah. Okay.
You think there'll be a runner about the Von Doom shitcoin that he's pushing?
I kind of hope they do that shit. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Get your Doom Bible. It's only $79.99. Yeah, right. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, fine. We'll be back for that. Great.
All right, cool. What else is on TV? Are we watching anything else fun? Hey, the Nicolas Cage Spider-Man thing starts in like 2 weeks. You don't watch that?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Fair enough.
Unless I will if you tell me it's good.
Brendan Gleeson's in it.
We're going to be at House of the Dragons coming back this summer.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Great, man.
And I know I've told you this before, but it should be about to get really good.
This time for sure.
They've really run from it as long as they can, it feels like. But okay.
All right. Thank you, man. Talk to you later.
Bye.